Man City versus PSG, that second leg. And what I've got to say about this one, this is judgment day for Man City. For them, they need to get to a final. We all know about the amount of money that's gone into this football club, and they have a beautiful team there with a lot of great players. And even at the weekend, that second string tore Crystal Palace apart. I think generally, Hugh, actually, first question to you, is there any way that some of those players, the likes of Raheem Sterling, the likes of Aguero, could feature from the start in this game?
Honestly, the only player I think that Pep Guardiola will even consider changing is Gabriel Jesus in a forward role for Bernardo Silva. I just felt, and I know we spoke about it already, that they lacked that sharp, incisive player who was going to get them a goal when a half chance fell in the box. You know, Bernardo Silva was waiting for a perfect opportunity. Kevin De Bruyne never really made those bursts that you'd expect a striker to make to the front post or the back post when the ball's coming into the box. That wasn't something that the PSG defenders really had to worry about. It was all in front of them, and Manchester City were sensational in terms of the possession, keeping the ball, particularly in the second half, obviously. But they never really got troubled in behind in the way that those defenders were maybe expecting to if a natural striker would have played.
And so if that happens to you, you're turning to Jesus, you're not turning to Aguero.
I do. I think fitness-wise, I think his ability to keep the ball, his footwork, out wide as well, in particular Gabriel Jesus, and in particular for a match of this magnitude, his work in defence. Pep Guardiola has spoken earlier on in the season just about how he could never get any other striker to do the defensive work that Gabriel Jesus was prepared to make. Almost, let's be honest, he's a midfielder. He's a false nine. He doesn't score the goals that we'd expect a Sergio Aguero to score, but he's a good mix of the two, more so than someone like Bernardo Silva. That's the only change from that team, I think, that we saw last week. Because I just don't think Raheem Sterling is in the form, Ferran Torres is in the form that you need for a match of this magnitude.
Yeah, I guess the other one I wonder about is if he starts to think, let's stop Neymar. Let's stop, that player in that space through the central areas to get Mbappe on the ball. Edison, 31 touches in that last game. Mbappe, 30 touches. Look, that only matters so much. It's how crucial those touches are for Mbappe. But he didn't have a shot, full stop. So they need to find service to him. And I do wonder if Man City might just, if Pep does what he can do on occasion, which is overthink a little, does he start to think about Fernandinho and Rodri as two more midfielders there? I really hope he doesn't do this, because I think the biggest thing here, we could talk about players all day long. This is a psychological thing for this Man City group, I think, because there's no doubt they've got a very clear philosophy. There's no confusion on that. It's about being fluid. It's about being great on the ball. It's about controlling the game. But that in itself is very difficult to kind of do at the highest level in the most intense situations. That's why I call this a judgment day for Manchester City, because the scarring that could happen if they can't get over this hurdle this time, when they've, there's a great stat here. We've got 47 instances where an English side has been winning going into the second leg of a two-leg knockout tie. And every single time the English side has gone through. If Man City can't make their way through this hurdle, what does that say about Pep Guardiola and this team?
I agree with you. It is a mental thing. I'll answer your question in a moment. But what I would say is the level of performance in that second half against Paris Saint-Germain, I think something clicked, something changed with Manchester City. They almost moved from being a side that was wondering if they were good enough at this level to jumping to being a side that was almost arrogant at this level and wondering why they'd had this hanging over them for so long. It was like, oh my God, we're miles better than these guys. It's something clicked in that second half. And massively importantly, I think it was away from home. So it's almost like, oh my word, if we can do this at the Parc des Princes, what can we do at the Etihad Stadium? That's the place that we love playing, and we've won loads of trophies and we've won leagues. And I think they will carry a huge amount of confidence into that second leg, knowing if they get the first goal, that they can then manage the tie from there. It's going to be a brilliant first 20 minutes or so. Whether Kylian Mbappe plays or not is going to be a huge thing for Paris Saint-Germain. I know he didn't play at the weekend, so he's a big injury doubt. Hopefully for Paris Saint-Germain, he plays, because I don't think there's any way they go through without him. I think they should play another striker alongside him. I know Mauro Icardi played at the weekend. I think there should be a genuine front three this time around, and they should play less on the counter attack. But to answer your question about Manchester City and getting over this hump, it's quite simple. Everyone in England believes that they won't have a better opportunity, particularly going into the second leg. It's massive for the club because I think they will believe that going into a final, they've got a very good chance against either Chelsea or Real Madrid. Just simply a huge week for the club and the future, the reputation of Pep Guardiola. Question marks over his time at Bayern Munich. He goes to Manchester City. He still hasn't won a Champions League despite all the investment. And this really feels like their best opportunity now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think there will be that little wobble at some stage. The first goal in all of these games is always so crucial. And I would be intrigued to see PSG get that first goal because I'd love to see how Man City would react to that. That said, I think you're right. I just think my prediction for this from the start, I feel like this is Man City's year. I feel like that nervousness, which is there. I think Ilkay Gundogan spoken last week about how this is a real thing. They are nervous about these games. They are nervous of the fact that they haven't got it done yet. But I think that gives that almost that extra motivation. And I think they make it through. I think it'll be tight. But I think by the end of it, there'll be a lot of Manchester City smiles. I think 2-0. I think they'll get it done. I think there'll be another blank from Mbappe, but a huge game for that centre-back partnership of John Stones and Ruben Dias, who, again, I just realised the other day, he's 23. He's so young. It's crazy. I think they go through. Do you think they go through?
In my heart of hearts, I think I'd have to say that I think Manchester City will go through. If Mbappe is fit and they go for it, Maurcio Pochettino, of course, famously with his Spurs team when he reached
before,
shell-shocked Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. He'll play on that. I think he'll know from all the games that he's played against Manchester City that there is still a bit of a weakness. I think Chiellini said it about Tottenham themselves a few seasons ago. This is a club with basically a mental fragility, and maybe Mauricio Pochettino tells his clubs, they are still wondering if they're good enough at this level. We've been to a final last year. You've done it before. You're good enough. So go out there and battle. See what happens. Throw the ball in the box. Cause confusion, because actually those are the sorts of things that Manchester City find difficult. When people try and play chess against Pep Guardiola and these players, it never works. You can't beat them at what they do. But you can throw the kitchen sink in there. You can try something totally different. You can play really direct. You can put numbers in the box, 4 or 5 bodies in the box. Yes, that leaves you more vulnerable to a counter-attack. But actually, Manchester City, they don't really like to counter-attack in that way. What they do is they break forward and they just go, oh, we've got the ball. They take a breath. They go back to control. They go back to the possession game, right? So I think there is a chance, but it rests on Kylian Mbappe being fit. I think in 90 minutes, PSG are going to win the game 2-1. But I think the level of possession will wear them down during extra time. Maybe City to go through either 3-1 in extra time or on penalties as well. But I think PSG win it in 90 minutes.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.